Hi everybody, so today we'll be adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Now anytime we're working with mixed numbers, you're really going to want to convert to improper fractions. Now this will help us even with multiplication and division, which are coming. Alright, now let's take for example 3 3/8 plus 2 7/8. Now I'm going to show you two different ways of doing this question, converting the improper fractions, then I'm going to show you a way when we have to borrow and carry. So first things first, 3 times 8 plus 3 will get us the improper fraction. So 3 times 8 is 24 plus 3 is 27. We keep the denominator of 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 7 is going to give us 23, also over 8. This here together will give us 50 over 8. Now 50 over 8, 8 goes into 50 6 times with 2 left over. We leave the whole number. Now we have to reduce the fraction. The whole numbers never get reduced. This will then get us 6 1/4. And this will be our final answer. Now the other way to do it would be to add this vertically. So 3 3/8. And then we have 2 7/8. We add these together. Fractions to fractions, whole numbers to whole numbers. So 3 7 gives us 10/8. Now 10/8, we reduce this down to a mixed number, gives us 1 2/8. Now this 1 does not belong in the fraction side, so we bring it all the way over here and we borrow it. We carry it, sorry, not borrow it. Then we have 1 plus 3 plus 2, which is 6. So we've used this here. So we have 6 2/8, which again reduces down to 6 1/4. Now let's take one of them as a negative. All right, well actually let's do one before we do a negative. Let's do one with different denominators. So let's take 3 1/2 plus 6 1/3. First thing I'm going to do again, I'm going to convert these to improper fractions. 3 times 2 plus 1 is 7 over 2. 6 times 3 plus 1 is going to give us 19 over 3. Common denominator in this case is going to be 6. Now when you're not sure, you can always just take the denominator from one, multiply both by that, take the denominator, multiply the other by that. So this will be times 2 and times 2, times 3 and times 3. This now gets rewritten as 21 over 6 plus 38 over 6. This will now give us 59 over 6. Now, convert this back to a mixed number. 59 goes into 6 9 times, with a remainder of 5, which is our new numerator, and a 6th. Now again, if we're going to do this one vertically, 3 1/2 plus 6 1/3. 3 plus 6, we're not going to worry about that yet because we still have to do this here. Common denominator here would be 6, so times 3 and times 3, times 2 and times 2. This gives us 3/6 and 2/6, which give us 5/6. We don't have to carry anything over because we don't have anything greater than 1. Then 3 plus 6 is 9, so our answer is 9 5/6. Now, from here, let's take it when we start adding positives and negatives into the mix, because we can have negative mixed numbers. Now again, first things first, we need this expression. Let's take negative 4 5/6 plus 8 2/3. The absolute first thing I'm going to do is figure out if my answer will be positive or negative. We do that the same exact way if we were going to have any sort of addition or subtract, any sort of addition with negatives, which has the higher absolute value. It's easier with mixed numbers. Of course, we're really looking at the two whole numbers. 8 has the greater absolute value, so my answer will be positive. I'm going to put this over here for safekeeping so I don't forget it later. Now, since I'm technically going to do 8 2/3 now minus 4 5/6, I'm going to rewrite it that way. 8 2/3 minus 4 5/6. We're going to convert this to improper fractions. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. We keep the denominator. Minus 4 times 6, which is 24. 24 plus 5 is 29. Keep the denominator 6. Since our denominators are different, we have to get them to have the same denominator. Thankfully, 3 times 2 gives us 6. Multiply this by 2 and this by 2. This will lead us with 56 over 6. Sorry, 52 over 6. I apologize. I'm too many times seeing 6 on the same page. 52 over 6 minus 29 over 6. 52 minus 29 gets us 23 over 6. Now, 23 divided by 6, we get 3 with a remainder of 5, so 3 5/6. Now, this is why I tell you to keep it as an improper fraction. This is going to be easier than the next thing I'm going to show you. I'm still going to have it here, the equation, but now I'm going to write it vertically, but I'm going to write it as a subtraction because our greater absolute value always subtracts the lower absolute value. So, 8 2/3 minus 4 5/6. Common denominator here again is 6, so we have 4 over 6 and then 5 over 6. But since I can't subtract 5 from 4, not in this case, I have to borrow from the 8. So I'm going to cross this out, write it as a 7, but now what I'm borrowing a whole. So I'm really not borrowing 10, I'm borrowing 6 over 6. This gives me 10 over 6 minus 5 over 6. So this side here will be 5 over 6 because all this gets moved over. 10 over 6, 5 over 6, so now this side's 5/6. Now I just do the subtraction here. 7 minus 4 is 3, so my answer is 3 5/6. Some people find this way better. I find that this way generally does not give you any chances to make mistakes. This way case, if you forget to take the whole, remember the whole is going to be whatever the denominator is. If this was 16, this would be 16 over 16. If this was 9, this would be 9 over 9. If this was 3,812, this would be 3,812 over 3,812. All right. One last example. Let's do negative 13 and a half. Make sure I can see it. Negative 13 and a half minus a negative 2 1/8. So again, first thing we're going to do is do the actual integer work. So a negative minus a negative is a positive. So we're going to rewrite this as negative 13 and a half plus 2 1/8. Now we're going to go back into looking at it. We're adding a negative to a positive. Negative has their higher absolute value, so we're going to go ahead and keep that negative. Now from here, I'm going to convert this to an improper fraction. 13 times 2 is 26, plus 1 is 27 over 2. Then I'm going to have, in this case, since this has the higher absolute value anyway, I'm not going to really worry too much about the negative there. Plus 2 times 8 plus 1, which is 17 over 8. But now I have to convert this to get this to have the same denominator. Multiply both by 4. This is going to get us 108 over 8 plus 17 over 8. And it's going to be negative 108 plus 17 over 8. It should be negative 27 there. I forgot. Sorry. Now from here, negative 108 plus 17 is going to get us negative 91 divided by 8. 98 goes into 91. 11 times with 3 left over, but it's going to be a negative 11, 3 and 3/8. So negative 11, 3/8. Now, the other way of doing it, if we're going to do it vertical, I would do 13.5 minus 2 1/8. My answer either way will be negative, so I'm going to write the negative down here. Remember, keep at opposite, then you subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value. I'm keeping that sign. So now I'm going to go ahead. My denominators here do not match, so I'll make those match quick. By 4 and by 4. This gets me 4/8. 4/8 minus 1/8 is 3/8. 13 minus 2 is 11. So my answer would be 11 3/8. So again, you can do either way you want. Personally, I like using the way this way because it brings us right back to what we've learned in the past. We don't have to worry too much about it. It's a little bit more work. Remember, you are using a calculator. All right, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next class.